Every nation on Earth is in debt. The United States currently owes over $38 trillion, the highest number in its history. The European Union carries a burden of 14 trillion. Japan is close to 9 trillion. Even wealthy oil kingdoms like Saudi Arabia and export giants like Germany owe massive amounts of money. But here is the paradox that breaks your brain. If everybody owes money, who exactly do they owe it to? Welcome to Capital Chronicles, where money, power, and history collide. Nothing here is as simple as it looks. Debt isn't just a financial burden. It is the invisible skeleton of the modern world. Every war, every crash, every economic boom sits on top of this hidden mountain of "I owe you" notes. And if you follow the chain of creditors long enough, you discover something disturbing. The world doesn't really owe money to someone else. It owes it to itself. But that doesn't mean the game is fair. To understand how we ended up with a planet drowning in $315 trillion of debt, we have to go back to the beginning. The concept of national debt wasn't born on Wall Street. It was born in war. The year was 1694. England was fighting France and running out of gold. The king needed cash, so he turned to the merchants. He offered them a deal. "Lend me the money now, and I will give you a permanent stream of interest payments funded by taxes." To manage this, the Bank of England was created. It was a revolution. The state could now spend money it didn't possess. In return, the lenders received a piece of paper, a government bond. This was the moment debt turned into a product that could be bought and sold. France copied it, the Netherlands refined it, and the United States adopted it to build an empire. Borrowing money became a sign of power, not weakness. Fast forward 3 centuries. Debt is now the world's biggest export. But who holds the other end of the rope? Let's look at the United States, because its debt is the anchor of the global system. There is a myth that America owes all its money to China. That is simply not true. China holds less than 3% of U.S. debt. So, who is the real creditor? The answer is America itself. Roughly 2/3 of the debt is held by American banks, pension funds, insurance companies, and the Federal Reserve. It is a hall of mirrors. The Treasury issues the bond. The bank buys it. The Federal Reserve prints money to buy it back. And the American taxpayer pays the interest, which flows right back into American retirement accounts. The debt is real, but the creditor is mostly a reflection in the mirror. This circular game isn't just happening in the US. It's a global phenomenon. Japan lends to the US. The US lends to Europe through the IMF. Europe lends to developing nations. And those developing nations take that money and buy Western bonds to keep their own currencies stable. It is a planetary game of musical chairs. But the chairs are made of promises. Every country holds someone else's debt as an asset. It's like a poker table where every player is betting with chips they borrowed from the player sitting next to them. The game only continues because nobody stands up to cash out. But there is a 4th player at the table, the markets. Behind every government bond, there is a vast web of hedge funds, sovereign wealth funds, and central banks. They are the true judges. They decide which country gets to borrow cheaply and which one pays a premium to survive. Democracy decides who governs. Markets decide who survives, and the ultimate master of this system is the central bank. These institutions don't just manage debt, they manufacture it. Here is the secret. In our modern system, there is no such thing as debt-free money. Every time a central bank buys a bond, it creates new money. The money is the debt. Every dollar in your pocket is essentially an IOU from the government. For decades, this machine has run on one fuel: confidence. As long as investors believe governments will pay the interest, the wheels keep turning. But what happens when that belief dies? We have seen the preview. Look at Greece in 2010. The debt became unpayable. Panic spread. The result was austerity, tax hikes, spending cuts, and unemployment. Bailout is just a polite word for sacrifice. We saw it in Argentina. We saw it in Sri Lanka. When the system breaks, invisible creditors suddenly become very visible, and they demand real assets. Yet, even after a collapse, the system restarts. Why? Because in the 21st century, government debt is not designed to be repaid. It is designed to be rolled over. Governments operate like a subscription service. They borrow new money to pay off the old bonds. Economists call this refinancing. In reality, it's a perpetual cycle. The United States will never pay off its $38 trillion debt. It will just refinance it forever. Why do investors accept this? Because government debt is the safest collateral in the world. Banks use U.S. Treasury bonds as the foundation for all other trades. If the U.S. actually paid off its debt, the global financial system would run out of safe assets and collapse. The system needs the debt to exist. But make no mistake, someone always pays the bill, and that someone is you. This mechanism acts as a silent tax. It doesn't appear on your pay stub, but you feel it every time you buy groceries, pay for gas, or look at rent prices. When the government prints trillions to service its own debt, they are diluting the value of every dollar in your bank account. They are stealing your purchasing power to keep their promise to the bondholders. It is a direct wealth transfer from the prudent saver to the reckless borrower. The debt isn't free. It is paid for by the devaluation of your future. So the plan was never to pay it back. The plan is to keep the world believing. But remember this: interest payments don't fall from the sky. They are transferred from taxpayers and workers up to the institutions that own the debt. Debt is not just a transfer between nations. It is a transfer between classes. The system rewards those who own the debt and punishes those who pay the taxes. We are all part of this engine. But if the engine never stops, we will remember the true definition of debt: a promise that cannot be kept forever. If you want to understand the future of money, hit subscribe. History has the answers.